Alrighty, hello every folks, and good morning. Welcome to a quick discussion here on back attack. So this is an odd skill. We're going to be going over some of the quirks of this thing, some of the misunderstandings about it. Just so you know, there wasn't any kind of secret hidden tech discovered for this particular one, but I did want to cover some interesting quirks about it. So first of all, back attack actually had its access very widely expanded in Reborn. It actually is available to 5 classes now, as opposed to previously only being available to the Buccaneer as well as the Ranger. Now, what's interesting is that back attack feels like one of those skills that in both instances of its official release, it kind of just didn't really get completed in terms of its implementation. So like back in PSP, it was an accuracy booster, sure, but it was the classes that it was used on rarely needed attacks to always count like they were hitting from behind. When it came to back attack, its primary purpose would be in conjunction with something like the Rogue's sneak attack. They couldn't get back attack back in the PSP version, and additionally, you couldn't stack skills in that version either. So like in Reborn, if that combination was there, I have a feeling that's what they were trying to go for. A lot of the changes that were made for skills in Reborn had that idea of like, man, it would be really cool if you could combine, these two things over here, and oftentimes they made that little bit of wish fulfillment come true. Now, again, one of those exceptions there was with the Rogue. Now, there was actually one Twitter thing that I had missed from a couple of years ago from Matsuno, where they did just more or less confirm the thing that I was trying to say about it, where they were saying that when it came to the Rogue, it simply was like while it was an AI thing, it was also just financially not possible to update all the things that they wanted to with the Rogue. Even if it was left as it was, the entire game would essentially have to be folded around this one class. And to kind of expand on that a little bit, it's just due to the fact that the Rogue had skills that would directly affect the AI on every single map of the game. Essentially had a type of a skill there in the form of steel that required a drop table change to basically every single map in the game. Like the overall implications of the Rogue were so far-reaching that the entire project would basically have more or less danced around it. So. Anyways, so what I'm believing on back attack is that at some point they were intending to introduce that stack there, that it was supposed to be the back attack and sneak attack stack that could be combined together. Now, unfortunately, that didn't end up being implemented. Now, this led to a little bit of a rumor that you would be able to combine back attack and Pincer 4, which would make a lot of sense, because Pincer 4 in many ways is kind of picking up the mantle for the now gone sneak attack, where you have to be standing behind the enemy, and if you trigger a pincer with back attack being, or not with back attack, but if you trigger a pincer, you're able to then essentially go and do 50% bonus damage when hitting from the back. So either way, very useful thing there, and one of the main reasons that you're continuing to use the Berserker, because if you get a Berserker with any kind of advantages whatsoever, that sucker is hitting like an absolute friggin' just like miniaturized Godzilla. Now, that being said, with back attack, I say that it was a misconception because it's something that we've all confirmed on accident before, where we thought, hey, wow, back attack triggered, they went and they fired off their pincer. Clearly this must count as the back under all circumstances, and logically that would make sense. But when have you ever known Tactics Ogre to be logical? So it doesn't actually do that, is the thing. It doesn't actually cause your pincers to count every attack as if it was from the back. That is to say, it gives you the accuracy bonus, but it's not going to actually help you in that particular pincer scenario. So just so you know, yes, even though it definitely seems like a thing that would work and seems like something that you swear has happened before, it's one of those Mandela effect kind of situations where we all assume that it's happened before, but it didn't. So, okay. So that's kind of that particular thing. Now, originally I was thinking like maybe there was some hidden function with only certain weapon types or something. Like it's very oddly specific that the classes that it was given to are specifically the classes that are able to use both daggers and crossbows at the same time. Again, very oddly specific. Figured maybe it was an interesting little thing there. Maybe there was something more to it. I've gone ahead and tested everything I can think of in terms of basic attacks, different positioning, different finishers, different elements, all of that kind of thing. There doesn't seem to be any additional interaction there, so I'm pretty sure, given the fact that it's basically free and available early on in the game, that it's just meant to be a niche accuracy bonus. It's the same conclusion that Recession came to a while ago, but you know what? I'm always gonna go and like fiddle around with things just for the hell of it anyway. Anyway, so as far as back attack is concerned, I did also leave the AI going and using their back attacks in different situations, seeing if there was maybe anything in particular that might help, but it did not. Oh, and additionally, there was actually one thing that should be mentioned, that when it came to certain attacks attacking from the front, there was actually another mechanic that it could have theoretically interacted with back in PSP. I don't believe it actually did, but the Buccaneer, for whatever reason, got access to a lot of kiss moves, and many of the anything charm and sleep related in that game, for whatever reason, checked line of sight. Which, I mean, I say for whatever reason, that actually does sound pretty logical. Anyway, you know, presumably like, oh, it's hypnosis, or they're just giving them the, you know, the Puss in Boots eyes. But anyways, so yeah, as far as that goes, there isn't, so that particular type of interaction isn't in Reborn. It's not used for anything. I mean, it just confused people. It, you know, honestly, we never would have known if Rakes hadn't found it, kind of a situation. But with that being said, is there anything kind of useful out of this skill? I mean, it's got a couple of niche, very niche applications. So, like, if, for example, on the ninja there, the reason they'd maybe want to use it is in the case of those loot dragons. I've mentioned this before, but there's a lot of loot pinata type enemies in Chapter 4 and beyond who will come in with the... well, with exception to the very first one that you run into, they'll come in with a lot of relic drops and things like that. Oftentimes, you're getting up to 4 relics from one guy. So, in the case of those ones, they're oftentimes very hard to hit, and somebody like a ninja may not necessarily have access to you know, a guaranteed shot ability. Now, why would you need that guaranteed shot ability? Well, their poison arrows are one of the easiest ways to deal with those enemy types. You simply just harass them with poison arrows throughout the entire fight, and they'll be dead before the fight's over. Given that they've got massive health pools, they've got more stats than you possibly want to deal with that amount of disadvantage at the time. Realistically, yeah, you just want to go ahead and just deal with them using poison arrows. They're never immune to poison in that particular context. There's some Heaven General fight variants that will come in with one specifically immune to poison, so that you can't pull that bullshit. But for the ones that drop loot, no, those ones you can poison away to your heart's content. So there's that use case there. In terms of the archers, I'm pretty sure it's just there for AI usage. Like, you see the AI typically will run that skill in a lot of water maps. So, like, for example, if they run into the water and it happens to be raining and they're trying to take a shot, their accuracy is going to suck. But if they have back attack, they're still going to be landing their shots. So it's seemingly just a way to kind of keep them consistent in their shooting accuracy, unless you get smoke bombs involved. So I believe that that's one of those primarily just for AI usage kind of situations. As far as the other classes that can use it, one of again the theoretical fun uses would have been something like pincer back attacks on Lord, but yeah, that is not the case. Again, it's just not how that one works. It doesn't count it as back attack for the purpose of your pincers. Okay. However, next thing here, let's go over the. There we go. This is what I'm trying to pull up here. So archers kind of have their use case, ninjas have their definite use case, and then Buccaneer and Ranger, I'm pretty sure they just have it for the same reasons that they did back in PSP. Like, they didn't want to take it away from them. So as far as anything else, I tried testing if it affected debuff rates. It didn't seem to. It strictly just seems to be about accuracy. Now, that being said, would you ever use this on Lord? Probably not. I'm trying to think if there's any possible exception, but there's very few things that actually will check for facing. So back in PSP, and especially in One Vision, this is the reason that you'd want to use something like this is because you effectively, like, from the front you can get up to a 75% dodge rate. From the back you could only go up to a 55% dodge rate. So anyways, this essentially meant that you could get a pretty sizable bonus to your act. Now, why is this useful in something like One Vision? Well, because it got combined into other things of the system. Like, typically, a lot of your ranged units will have lower accuracy, and typically, if they're in the rain, they're not hitting jack, but a lot of their guaranteed shot abilities are fairly expensive, so in something like One Vision, if you use the trajectory version, that will use the old back attack effect, where it not only gives you your trajectory laser, but it also gives you the ability to increase your accuracy by those few percent, which matters quite a bit in One Vision's case. Um, for something like Reborn, though, again, it seems primarily to be more of an AI thing. So, anyway, yeah, that is. If there's anything else worth testing about this, I will. Like, if anything ever shakes out, I will let you know. Again, I was really hoping that it might do something with daggers and crossbows, but it doesn't really seem like there's any interaction there. Um, that being said, if you didn't see the other video here, the lightweight crossbows, aside from being really good with finishers, do have a very interesting effect when it comes to synergizing with the Rampart Shadows on knights, though. So that's kind of an interesting use case. Um, but yeah, so I think the whole crossbow and knife thing probably just a coincidence. As far as these guys and their back attack, there really isn't anything in their skills that would necessarily affect this. Um, but yeah, that last question then would end up being on Shadow Break, which was also covered in this other video. It seems to be priced exactly for the weird niche thing that it is, which means that there is exactly one skill out there that's still up there with a question mark that currently makes no sense whatsoever, and that is going to be Condemn. So Condemn's a weird one. Um, if I find that this does anything, I will let you know. Currently, it still seems to be the most useless skill in the game, but oh well. So let's go ahead and kind of end that one there for right now. Thank you for stopping by, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.